Today we are talking about the second half of the season MotoGP 2026. If you really want to know exactly what's going to be happening in the rest part of the season, you need to understand what actually happened in the first 11 race 2026. In this video, we're going to talk about exactly 6 undeniable facts that has happened in 2026 first part of the season. They are unexpected and they are the favorite insight that has happened in MotoGP where every MotoGP fans need to know about. After watching this video, I guarantee you that you will see MotoGP in another different way. You will watch the next coming races for the rest part of the season. By the way, I'm Ernest. I'm a MotoGP fanatic. I watch every single race and I watch every single practice, and as well I spend time to analyze every single thing that happened during the weekends. I'm going to break down exactly everything for you in this channel. The first insight, fact number 1, it's what we call Martin revival. Jorge Martin didn't race 2025 MotoGP. We all know what's happened. He has a massive crash at the testing in training, and as well a major crash that we know happened in Qatar's GP that caused him fracture his rib and has a pneumothorax surgery. Now, why does that matter? Because Martin is the only rider that have raced only 7 games in the last season for 22 rounds due to the fact of his physical recovery. He didn't have no chance to be in the game. So tactically, Martin didn't know exactly what MotoGP Aprilia bike will do in these circuits. If you think it was all, you get it wrong. The big one was the contract drama. After Martin has been close to left MotoGP and go back home, he has wanted an exit, and he's announced publicly that he want an exit from MotoGP Le Mans in 2020-25. But Aprilia stopped right there, didn't want to go in that route, even though Martin has a clause in his contract. But leaving Aprilia was not an option. Aprilia has to put feet on the ground and find a way to get Martin back on Aprilia team. So they get committed together and clarify the things later, and they decide to move forward. Martin and Aprilia team decide they have to move forward in order to have a 2026 MotoGP. I guarantee you it was a big decision for both Martin and Aprilia. Now let's go to insight 2, the Bezzecchi total domination, with Aprilia Racing feature his historic early season domination. Every Sundays he has dominated race by race the MotoGP 2026 with Aprilia motorbike. Now, people didn't expect that from Marco. Most people didn't take Marco Bezzecchi as the real contender for 2025, neither 2026. But what actually happened, he went on winning 5 straight MotoGP Grand Prix, stretched the late 2025, early 2026. He become the new MotoGP dominant winner boy. Watch this. At the 2026 US GP in Austin, Marco Bezzecchi broke the modern record from leading 121 consecutive laps at the front of the Grand Prix class, and put him in the top for the new era MotoGP. Notice what happened. He has secured an emotional victory at the Italian Grand Prix in May 2026, setting him all-time lap record 1.43.9 at Mugello MotoGP. Everything changed with a penalty after slap a marshal and get banned. At arriving Saxony, Marco Bezzecchi crashed and fracture that he has to run immediately for an emergency surgery. Early space, he was untouchable. His aggressive slap to the marshal exposed him his immaturity to be at MotoGP leader for a long time. Inside number 3, the Giannantonio surprisingly. The most successful Ducati so far in 2026, the only rider that has maintained a regularity in 2026, it's Fabio Di Giannantonio. Understand this. Most people didn't even include Fabio Di Giannantonio as a top MotoGP rider. Actually, they even overlook Di Giannantonio for his performance. Here's why. Not only nobody was expected that Di Giannantonio would have a third position in MotoGP right now and has finished a lot of race in third position, as well keeping safe his podium position in a lot of racings. Di Giannantonio has kept and maintained his race pace to be on the podium as much as he can. When every journalist on the paddock didn't even see the good about Fabio, he does the race so well. Watch this. Ducati factory team was lost race and after race until most start to notice that Fabio Di Giannantonio was doing exactly the job. He was the most constant MotoGP rider for Ducati Lenovo in 2026 early races. To be in third MotoGP lead in 2026, you need to be maintain a constant not only space but as well the position that you finish the race in every single circuit. That is Di Giannantonio. Now let's go for number 4. Pecco Bagnaia 2026 season performance come to another struggle for Ducati a second times, not even able to win a race with the MotoGP factory by Ducati, but as well, the best way to look at it, Pecco Bagnaia promised a lot of good races. He has a lot of good races, don't get me wrong. But see, he tried over and over again. But when the next race arrived, the same thing happened. It's not really about the bike sometimes, but the combination from the persistent rear grips issue Pecco Bagnaia always face in mechanical grips that have cost him roughly 40 points behind the leaders. And now he's running at the 8th position in MotoGP standing 2026. Insight number 5, Alex fatal crash. Alex Marquez on the 2026 season, meanwhile he was trying to adapt with the Moto Factory Ducati bike for the first time. He was managing and trying to adapt in race by race. We still didn't find the real Alex that ended in MotoGP 2025. Meanwhile, Alex tried to optimize the setup of his new Moto Factory bike and even find opportunities race by race. As the current sub-champion 2025, Alex come to the surprise at the Jerez season like a deja vu. By now, we all know what happened. Alex won MotoGP 2026 Grand Prix in Jerez, in his hometown. Back-to-back victory, not only from 2025, as well the current 2026 Grand Prix. This changed everything for Alex Marquez that put him in dominant display for the next few races in European season. Next race to Catalan GP, everything changed in a matter of seconds. Alex for a second time has a massive crash in Catalonia. This was a horrible crash. Broken rib, all have to rush to the hospital for emergency. But here's good about MotoGP. Unexpected, a month after Alex not even finished his recovery time, unexpectedly he come back and finished 4th in MotoGP Berno position. That was an incredible comeback after only a month of surgery. Alex proved himself that he's a MotoGP rider. When everybody think it's the end, and here we call the greatest comeback in MotoGP history. The biggest remontada MotoGP championship, over 102 point the differences with none another Marc Marquez. We know what's happened early race in MotoGP 2026. Marc Marquez couldn't find himself in this Ducati Lenovo factory bike. The 9-time world champion couldn't even win a race due to the shoulder crash back in October. With a massive comeback, we know Marc Marquez come to 102 points behind Bezzecchi, the leading champion MotoGP 2026, that nobody could touch us. Marco Bezzecchi was the leader last October 2025. Marco Bezzecchi took over Marc Marquez and crashed. But what happened? Nobody knows that this crash would keep him forward, prevent him to do what he can do on the bike. Mark himself couldn't understand exactly what happened with his shoulder and as well unexpected crash on the early season. At some point he didn't want to talk about his surgery because he know he can do much more, but his shoulder didn't allow him to race the perfect way that he wanted with this Ducati. At the paddock, most people was giving Marc Marquez the end of his career. Even they pronounced him that he will never come back. Because everybody talk about Ducati, even Marc Marquez, the world 9-time champion, not able to win a race with the manufacturer Ducati. That surged a lot of discussion between the journalists, the paddock, and as well the fans. Some others already said, yeah, because Martin was not there in 2025, that is why Marquez has been able to dominate 2025 season. Hold up. They even says Bezzecchi right now is the best MotoGP, that he is the contender. They even say that Bezzecchi will win MotoGP in 2026. We know, yes, Bezzecchi has 5 wins in a row that have put everybody in a different way to look at him. Yes, it makes sense that it's extremely important to understand that after you win 5 races in a row, yes, you are the leading and you are the contender for the championship. But this would be changing. The surprisingly Marc Marquez never giving up. Marc Marquez found himself at the top of European races in Jerez, put him in a high-scoring consecutive weekend. Marc Marquez found himself in form once European season start in Jerez. The unexpected nightmare happened at the Le Mans after the practice all-time lap record for Marc Marquez crashed in the Tissot sprint, broke his left foot, and the shoulder issue come to life. He has been dealing with this nerve for so long and long. Even when he crashed, he couldn't even know exactly why he was crashing. But Marc has decided to take 2 surgery, same time, same hospital, over the same weekend. Oof, let's pause right there. Notice the pattern. Not everybody is seeing this. Birmingham, Marc Marquez get a penalty against Pedro Acosta. Birmingham, Sunday race, Marc Marquez has flat tires. MotoGP in Brazil happened. We all know what happened with Giannantonio took over Marc Marquez, surprisingly. MotoGP in Texas, where everybody was expected Marc Marquez come in his garden. On the practice Friday, Marc Marquez has a massive crash. Not only that, he come back for the race on the Tissot sprint, crash with Giannantonio. That caused him get a penalty for the Sunday race. By now you think exactly every single race Marc Marquez has something, come up some issue. MotoGP in Austin, Sunday race, Marc Marquez crash again. Most people said MotoGP start in European season. Marc Marquez get into Jerez, Marc Marquez crash again. Those crashing, he couldn't understand until he get to Le Mans, then decide to have the 2 surgery. Marc Marquez scheduled a breakthrough surgery on a Sunday. Marc Marquez has 2 surgery after Le Mans. The breakthrough happened when he come in Mugello. Most people think that he would be fighting, but Marc know and recognize that Mugello was not his time, not his favorite circuit. But when he get to Hungarian at Balaton, Marc Marquez, with a duo with Pedro Acosta, Marc Marquez win in Balaton. Marc Marquez win for the first time. Not only that, Balaton took over next race in Saxorin, total domination. We know Saxorin, it's the circuit of Marc Marquez. Nobody could do none Nobody couldn't stop himself. Marc Marquez win for the 10 times MotoGP Premier Class in Saxon circuit that put him in the same place, same position with Agostini. In less than 5 races, everything flipped completely. Marc Marquez come from 102 points behind the leaders Marco Bezzecchi and now get third position in 2026 after Saxon with 190 points. Third position in MotoGP in 2026 championships, standing with 190 points, and third position in the MotoGP standing. That was a massive recovery for Marc Marquez, cloud back from 102-point recovery in just 5 races. Marc Marquez has taken 106 points that put him the most constant rider right now in the Paris MotoGP. His regularity over the last 4 races has been impeccable. Notice what happened when everybody has given Marc Marquez the end of his career. Now everything changed and everyone changed their mind. That's why when Marc Marquez is racing, you could never know what he's going to do. He's the greatest in the history. There is no doubt about it. But still, at 33 years old, he's still fighting to win exactly MotoGP for the 10 times. Until we get to Valencia with Marc Marquez, we could never know what's going to be happening. It's been an interesting first part of the season. If you look up what has happened so far, that's put the second part of the season even more interesting, even better. What's coming on the next few races will be shocked. In summary, when we are thinking about MotoGP 2026, Jorge Martín revival. Second, we have Marco Bezzecchi, total domination. And the third, the surprisingly Fabio Di Giannantonio. Fourth, we have Pecco Bagnaia still struggling with Ducati Lenovo. And fifth, we have Alex Márquez, fatal crash, but in recovery mode. Here's the most important, the biggest comeback in history of 102 points. Marc Marquez recovered in only 5 races and took the third position in MotoGP 2026. All right, that's it for me. If you get value from this video, if you are a fan of MotoGP and love watching the race, subscribe for the next video. Till then, peace.